COVID was a good experiment for us.
Yes.
And put them out and come out and see that art can't do that. But then we tested it.
Good morning. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Lenawee County Land Bank Authority for Wednesday, May 28th, 2025. You should all have a copy of the agenda in your packet. Looking for approval?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Or
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Should also have a copy of the minutes from Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025.
I move approval of the minutes.
Support.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on to the finance reports. If you take a look at the income statement for April 2025, at the very top, you'll see that we did bring in $14,120.82. That is the 550 capture from our current land bank captures. We just had settlement, so that's typically when most of those do come in. The only expense we had this month was mileage reimbursement to Francine for one of the many meetings that she has attended on our behalf. That leaves our cash balance at $264,672.76. Any questions?
Move to approve.
Support. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Okay, moving on to new business, the sales committee applicability. I know Francine has had some discussion with other land banks, so I will let her talk on the subject.
Good morning. In meeting with several land banks, their conversation of the importance of sales committee. There are various land banks that do not have a sales committee because all of the purchases go through the full board anyway. So with especially being a small land bank, there may be a better use of the time instead of having two separate meetings that come to the full board for discussion. So I recommended we put it on the agenda for conversation and ask, how do you feel that there's a need for a sales committee if all of the applications come to the full board at that time? And can we eliminate that process and bring the applications to the full board to review?
So we would go into closed session, discuss the offer, come back into open session and either accept or reject the offer in the same meeting rather than have a sales committee.
If that's the request, or if there's something that doesn't need to be discussed, the few land banks that I spoke to that go directly to the full board, they do not go into closed session. Everything is in open session unless there's something that needs to be talked about or discussed, extenuating circumstances beyond that. However, they just go through the full board and the full board will review the applications at that time and discuss what needs to be done. At times, it has been adjourned to the next meeting to clear up some ideas if needed, but very rarely.
If we were to do something like that, would we be able to get the actual application earlier than maybe before that next meeting? So if, we can do some due diligence on that. And
So the question that I also asked that, and how they do it is they send it out when they send out the meeting minutes and the what is prepared. And I think that's a week
before.
before.
you can look at. And as you can see, our application isn't lengthy. So it wouldn't take time that you would have to investigate many things. Or if there was something that maybe was a larger issue to review, I'm assuming that we could send that out even earlier if needed. But the way they do the process is it comes out so you can review it the week before that you have the minutes, and then you can prepare with the questions that come about.
Seems like it'd be a more efficient process than what we're currently doing.
And I've reviewed all the bylaws and the policies and procedures. As you know, we've all examined those and they've been redone in the last 18 months. I don't see anything in there that states that we have to change language in regarding a sales committee.
Just in terms of the process, Do applications go to you at this time and that would continue to be the
Correct.
case? They go
Correct.
to the treasurer?
Correct. And then we would again pass it out to the full board and discuss at the full board meeting rather than meeting separately with the sales committee.
Yeah, and we typically get the packet, I don't know, what, a week in advance?
A week before, yeah.
And so the new procedure would be including the sales, the application from
Correct.
the buyer, from the
Correct.
applicant would be in the packet.
Yes.
We would all get it. Okay,
Unless you guys want it earlier, we can forward them out as soon as we receive them. Um,
well, I personally feel if we get a packet a week in advance that, and it was included, I think that would be sufficient. A question about, I guess maybe it's the Open Meetings Act. I don't know. I mean, if when our sales committee meets, that's 3 people? Is that 3 people?
Yeah.
3 plus me.
Yeah.
3 plus, okay. And if one of us started having questions and we were talking amongst ourselves, I mean, would that be allowed or would we need to come here to have that discussion?
Well,
And I don't know if it even matters as part of the Open Meetings Act, but could we have discussions? Or, and if not, it's fine. I just want to know.
Well, in my experience, and Kim, you can correct me if I'm wrong, you can't have discussions of more than a quorum of the full board. So. you would
Right,
have
like
to
if
limit
you
that.
had a question about a property, maybe that was in Adrian and you wanted to know the zoning or something, if you reached out to me and asked me, like that conversation's okay, but if Jake and Roger were present, that would not be
Okay.
okay.
Is that correct, Kim?
Yeah, you just want to be careful. You can have discussion as long as the discussion is not rendering yourselves to some sort of decision.
Okay.
So if you are looking for clarification on something so that you can have a better idea of how you want to decide to vote, that is not allowable. But if it's just, and so I think that what the question on the floor really is whether we want to continue with the sales committee or not.
Yeah,
And so I think what I think was being proposed is whatever action was happening at the sales committee level just happens at your board level. So any questions that you would have could take place in this forum unless there is a reason, a specific outlying reason to go into closed session, which you would have the right to do when we're talking about the transfer of property.
right. Well, in the current situation with the sales committee, you know, I knew of an application coming in. I reached out to Jake. Hey, would you ask these couple questions, whatever. And so I don't know if you did or not, but a recommendation came back here from the sales committee and, you know, we all voted yes and we sold the property. So anyway, I understand. I have.
Well, you would
clarifica-
definitely be able to ask questions in regards to the sale of the property since we are.
Right. And even in advance, if I knew about it, as long as it's to clarify something, but not to persuade a decision about voting yes or no on a sale or something like that. I think it would be best to wait to bring it to the meeting and ask the question there. And that would be my intention.
Terry?
There's not a violation of the Open Meetings Act if you ask one other member
Okay.
an opinion or whatever, as long as it's not quorum.
Okay.
Kim?
And I would suggest that if you are going to switch your process and have the whole board take action on the applications rather than designating it to a sales committee for recommendation, that if you have questions when you receive your packet, reach out to the chair or to someone and say, hey, I've got these questions, because a lot of times if you have that question, someone else is going to have them, and it would be more productive to relay those questions in advance so that those answers could be brought forward to the meeting. Because the chair could say, I received a question from one of the directors asking XYZ. This is the response. I think it would help expedite your meeting. So yeah, you can email your questions or whatever to the chair, anticipation of getting your responses at the meeting.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
Just don't hit reply all.
I won't hit reply all. I don't even anticipate any of this happening. I just want to do the right thing. And I often have questions.
We appreciate questions.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any recommendations on whether or not we should keep the sales committee?
No, I think it makes total sense to roll it into to this committee and we'll discuss it here instead of meeting separately. So do you need a motion to that effect?
Yes, sir.
I move that we roll the sales committee into this committee as a whole, I guess, going forward.
Dissolve the sales committee.
Yes.
Okay.
Support.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on to county policy utilization. So with this grant for 140 West Main, one of the things that they have asked us to upload is a procurement policy. The land bank specifically does not have its own procurement policy for services. So we were operating under the county policy, which I believe we have discussed previously about any policies that we don't specifically have a land bank policy for, that we operate under the county policy. They need to see minutes approving that we are operating under county policies per the board for any policies that we don't have on file before we can proceed. So we brought forward the bidding policy of the county so you could review it to see if that is something that we can move forward and getting it on the record that we are operating under the county policy for this. Gary?
Question, you're saying that they need specific minutes of saying we are going to use that or that we are using it?
Either one, we just have to have it on record that we are using or intend to use the county's policy. We have to upload the minutes or the policy specific to the land bank, so.
So you're looking for some motion here to. say
Correct.
that we have minutes to that effect.
Correct.
Well, I would move that we use county policy in the bidding process.
Support.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on to existing business, the blight elimination grant. So as you all know, we have had a lot of fun navigating this grant. I want to discuss today the construction management contract with Krieghoff. We were informed at some point that this would fall under the admin on the grant reimbursement. The admin is capped at 8%. The bid we have from Krieghoff is 25,000, which is more than 8%. This project will not happen without Krieghoff's management of the project. So I am going to ask the board today to approve that we remove Krieghoff's contract from grant reimbursement and pay for this out of the land bank budget. The 8% admin fee will still be paid to us for Anna and I's work. That entails us keeping detailed logs of our time spent on anything to do with the management or the involvement of the grant. If we were to use the 8% towards Krieghoff's contract, they would also have to log and be very specific about the time spent, which could increase the costs upwards of the $25,000 contract that we currently are looking at. So it is my wish that the board would move forward and make a motion to pay for Krieghoff's management of that project out of the land bank budget and not reimbursed by the federal grant.
Aaron, I'd like to abstain from this vote.
Okay. We need somebody else to support that.
Yes, you actually have to have a motion to
I
Okay.
move that Jake abstain from this vote.
support.
Okay. Any further discussion on Jake's abstinence?
Abstention.
Abstention. I knew one of the words was going to get me today. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
I make a motion that the fee paid to Krieghoff to manage the contract come out of the land bank budget and not be covered by the grant admin fee.
Support.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Moving on to application status. The sales committee met regarding the application we received for 834 Michigan Avenue. We did receive a $500 application from Edward Monroe, who lives right next door to the property. You can see on the map, it is a very long, narrow piece of property. We have explored options to try to develop this property, haven't really come up with much. At this point, the sales committee is recommending that we sell the property to the neighbor for the $500.
Make a motion to accept the sales committee's recommendation and sell the property.
Support.
Any further discussion?
Yes, and I just am curious, which side is the buyer?
I believe he's the one on the right.
The one on the right? Okay.
I believe it's the one with the fence encroaching on the property.
I would also like to add from our meeting that we had that we were going to put in their contract that they could not request to have the lots combined for 5 years to honor the 550 with the city of Adrian.
Thank you, Kristen. Okay, so we had motion and support. Do you have any further?
Yes, amendment to the motion?
Does it have to be amended?
Who made the motion
I did.
and who seconded it?
I,
And that you're making a recommendation to make sure this other language is included. So it is an amendment to the motion because the motion simply indicated to do the sales committee's recommendation to sell the property. You wanted to add on some additional requirements.
Okay.
So it's a motion to add those requirements.
I would like to amend the motion to add the requirement that the property owner cannot combine the property with their lot for at least 5 years to honor the 550 with the land bank.
Okay, do we have support for the amended motion?
support that as well.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on to.
No, excuse me, Chair.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So that was an approval of the amendment. Now you need approval of the main motion.
Okay. Do I just vote again? They just vote against?
Say it, yeah, take a vote now on the main motion, which is to sell the property.
Let me take a vote on the main motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on to Community Development Coordinator comments. Francie?
Good morning. Just to recap what we had talked about last time, that we are set and slated to present at the national conference in September for the Red Door grant that we had received, to talk about that and everything that we have removed from the site. We're underway with speakers for the Land Bank Summit in October. I attended the Michigan Building Communities Conference, I think 2 weeks ago. And with all the PowerPoints that were sent regarding housing and building, I have sent out to, I have a housing email list of anything that evolved with housing or financing. So I tried to send out, there was multiple emails had to be sent because of the size of the PowerPoints, but some sessions I didn't even attend. But they had to do with financing, building, and some other programs that communities were doing regarding housing. I did hear back from a couple people, which was good because they couldn't attend the conference, but it just gives ideas of what people can do in their communities. So it was a lot of information and a lot of activity to do. Still in the process, meeting with a couple of people and some great activity on a couple of the properties about what we can do and hopefully build and apply for some funding in the next round in October with the My Neighborhood monies. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, any public comment? Hey, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Or
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Thank you all.
how long? This is done.